A typical scene from a sci-fi movie. An astronaut's helmet cracks, or an airlock blows open. What happens next? The person instantly freezes. A layer of frost coats their face. Their body flash freezes into a human popsicle, tumbling into the endless, icy dark. It's a powerful, terrifying image, but it is almost entirely wrong. If you were suddenly exposed to the vacuum of space, the cold would be the least of your immediate worries. In fact, you wouldn't freeze solid for a very, very long time. The reality of space is far stranger and more counterintuitive than the movies would have us believe. To understand why, we have to unravel two of the most fundamental questions about the environment beyond our atmosphere. Why is it so cold? And why can't we breathe? The answers force us to rethink our most basic ideas about temperature itself. So, you step outside a spacecraft, the Earth glowing beneath your feet. There is no sound, only silence so complete it feels alive. You take a breath, but there is nothing to breathe. In that instant, two enemies surround you. One is invisible but merciless, the vacuum. It rips the air from your lungs, not with force, but with absence. The other is the cold, a chill unlike any winter night on Earth. In less than 15 seconds, the oxygen already in your blood is drained away, and the world goes dark. Your skin begins to swell as gases expand, moisture on your tongue boils, and heat from your body starts leaking into the infinite void. You do not explode. Hollywood is wrong about that. You may be thinking right now, wait, what? How can nothing pull the air out of me? How can absence act like a force? Why would everything mentioned above happen to me in space? Good question. I'll let you chew on it for a moment. Try to guess. Keep that thought, because later I'll show you the real answer, and trust me, it's not what most people expect. And yet, the paradox remains. Why does space feel so cold when the sun burns with unimaginable heat only a few million miles away? Why can't you inhale when the universe around you is endless, stretching in every direction? We often think of temperature as a simple measure of how hot or cold something is. But to understand the true nature of space, we need to go deeper. At its most fundamental level, temperature is not about substance, it is about motion. This is the world of atoms and molecules. In the air around you right now, countless gas molecules are zipping around, colliding with each other and with your skin. These microscopic impacts transfer their kinetic energy directly to your cells, and we register that energy as warmth. It's a constant, microscopic bombardment, and the net effect is that your body gains heat. The more intense the bombardment, the warmer you feel. Conversely, when you feel cold, you are reporting on a much calmer molecular scene. The air molecules are moving slowly and lethargically. When your warm skin is surrounded by these slower particles, the energy transfer reverses. The faster-moving molecules in your skin collide with the slower air molecules, transferring their energy away from your body. It's not that cold is an active force which takes your heat away from you. It's that your body is actively losing heat to its less energetic surroundings. But this entire process, whether gaining or losing heat, depends entirely on one thing: the presence of molecules to collide with. Space, however, is a near-perfect vacuum. It is overwhelmingly empty. There are no molecules to bombard your skin and warm you up. More importantly, there are no molecules to steal your body's heat and cool you down through collision. This is why a vacuum, the defining feature of space, presents such a puzzle. By definition, a vacuum is a state of emptiness. In the void between stars, you might find a single hydrogen atom in a space the size of a small refrigerator. That's not just emptiness, it's a profound isolation that our everyday experience cannot comprehend. So, if we define temperature by the motion of particles, What is the temperature of a near-perfect vacuum? The answer is, it almost doesn't have one. There simply aren't enough particles to create a temperature in the way we understand it. This is the first great paradox of space. It isn't cold in the conventional sense. It is, for the most part, simply absent. So how does the cold of space kill you? It happens slowly and strangely. In space, there's no conduction, like touching something cold, and no convection, like air stealing heat from you. The only way your body can lose heat there is by radiation. Everything that has a temperature above absolute zero emits infrared radiation. Basically, it glows heat, even if our eyes can't see it. You're radiating heat right now, even as you sit in a warm room. On Earth, you don't notice it because the air around you replaces what you radiate. But in space, there's nothing to give that warmth back. So what happens? Your warmth leaking away as invisible infrared light. That's a much slower process than standing naked on a snowy mountain, which means if you stepped into the shadow of the Earth, you wouldn't instantly freeze solid. You'd float, your body cooling little by little, while your breath and fluids boiled away into nothing. A terrifyingly quiet death. But here's the twist. Space isn't always cold. The sun's rays can't warm up empty nothingness. There's no air, no matter, nothing to heat. But the moment sunlight hits something solid, like the suit of an astronaut, it's a different story. Suddenly, all that raw, unfiltered energy is absorbed, and it can roast the surface to more than 250 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to boil water. Step just a few feet into shadow, and with no sunlight at all, the temperature of that same object can crash to negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit. This is how our planet stays warm. The sun, a raging nuclear furnace, bombards Earth with intense radiation, including visible light. Earth absorbs this energy and heats up. To stay in balance, it must radiate that same amount of energy back out into space, which it does as infrared radiation. It's a continuous cosmic dance of energy in and energy out. This is the true nature of space's cold. It is not an active freezing force, but a passive ultimate heat sink. It's the background temperature of the universe itself, a frigid baseline of just 2.7 Kelvin left over from the Big Bang, known as the cosmic microwave background. That's why astronauts need bulky white suits lined with layers of insulation, heaters, and cooling systems. Without them, they'd be trapped between extremes, roasted on one side, frozen on the other. Not because space is cold, but because there's nothing out there to stop the extremes from devouring you. We have seen that the cold of space is a slow, radiative thief. But there is another danger that is not slow at all. It is instantaneous, violent, and utterly lethal to our fragile, water-based biology. This is the problem of the vacuum itself, and it answers our second profound question. Why can't we breathe in space? Do you remember those questions I left hanging earlier? How can nothing pull the air out of you? How can absence act like a force? Well, it's time to stop guessing. This is where we finally peel back the curtain. The truth isn't about suction or some cosmic breeze. It's about something far stranger and far more ruthless. The act of breathing is so fundamental we rarely consider the mechanics. Your diaphragm contracts, expanding your chest cavity. This doesn't suck in air so much as it creates a temporary low-pressure zone inside your lungs. The higher pressure air surrounding you immediately rushes in to fill this void. You are, in essence, a pressure-powered machine. On Earth, the atmosphere pushes against us all the time, about 14.7 pounds per square inch. That pressure keeps the air comfortably inside your lungs. But in space, there's a vacuum. No air, no pressure at all. The moment you are exposed to the vacuum, the delicate balance that governs your respiration is catastrophically overturned. The air in your lungs wouldn't just sit there. It would have an urgent, explosive need to equalize with the surrounding nothingness. The high-pressure gas in your airways would rush out in a violent exhalation, desperate to fill the infinite void. Not because something is pulling it, but because nothing is holding it in anymore. That's what I meant by absence. This wouldn't just leave you breathless. It would physically tear at the most sensitive tissues of your respiratory system. The tiny, balloon-like alveoli in your lungs, where oxygen crosses into your bloodstream, could rupture from the sudden pressure change. But the assault wouldn't stop there. The vacuum would act on every part of your body that contains a gas or fluid. The water on the surface of your eyes and tongue would begin to boil. Not from heat, but from the lack of pressure. Just as water boils at a lower temperature on a mountaintop where air pressure is lower, in the vacuum of space, your bodily fluids would boil at your core body temperature. Your body would swell, and circulation would fail. Within 15 seconds, the oxygen left in your bloodstream would be depleted, and you would lose consciousness. The silence of space would be matched by a physiological silence within, as the machinery of your body grinds to a halt. Not from cold, but from a profound and absolute emptiness. This isn't science fiction. One of the most chilling real tests in the history of spaceflight happened in December 1966, inside a NASA vacuum chamber. The man at the center was Jim LeBlanc, a NASA engineer and test subject. LeBlanc was inside a spacesuit prototype, evaluating how well it could maintain pressure in extreme conditions. The setup? A triple-sealed chamber, pumps removing all air. His suit connected via an umbilical hose to the chamber's life support. Then, disaster struck. The pressurization hose became dislodged, and his suit's pressure plunged from 3.8 psi to 0.1 psi in about 10 seconds. What LeBlanc remembers from that brief window is horrifyingly precise. I could feel the saliva on my tongue starting to bubble just before I went unconscious. That bubbling sensation is a real physiological effect. Because the pressure outside dropped so low, water at the moist surfaces, tongue, throat, lips, began to vaporize. Essentially, tiny bubbles forming where they shouldn't. This effect is called ebullition, and it happens when body fluids boil at lower pressures. LeBlanc lost consciousness about 14 seconds into the event. Fortunately, the chamber was repressurized quickly, in about 87 seconds, saving his life. He walked away from the test with only a sore ear as a visible injury. This incident is one of the few documented exposures of a human to near vacuum in controlled conditions, and it provides one of the clearest real-world windows into what space does to the human body. You don't just run out of breath in space. Space itself rips the breath from you. We have journeyed through the physics of the void, the silent theft of heat, the violent rush of pressure into vacuum, the deep, ancient cold that permeates everything. These are the fundamental laws of the cosmos, and they are utterly unforgiving. Yet, against this backdrop, we see the shimmer of a space station, and within it, human life. Our survival in this realm is not a matter of adaptation, but one of sheer, brilliant defiance. It is a testament to our ability to create our own small, temporary worlds, carrying a bubble of Earth's environment with us. The first and most intimate of these bubbles is the spacesuit. It is not merely clothing. It is a personal spacecraft. Its primary mission is to solve the two most immediate killers we have explored: vacuum and temperature. To counter the vacuum, the suit is a pressurized vessel. It maintains an internal atmosphere at about 1/3 of Earth's sea level pressure, using pure oxygen to ensure adequate oxygen partial pressure for the bloodstream. It is a flexible, mobile cocoon that constantly pushes back against the infinite nothingness, preventing the boiling of fluids and the fatal expansion of the lungs. Every seam, every joint, every visor is engineered to seal this precious atmosphere inside. To manage temperature, the suit is a masterpiece of thermal regulation. Facing the brutal 250-degree swing between sunlight and shadow, it cannot rely on conduction or convection. There is no air to carry heat away. Instead, it uses a system of water-filled tubes woven into an undergarment. Against the cold of shadow, warm water circulates next to the astronaut's skin, providing vital heat. Against the blistering radiation of the sun, the suit's white outer layer reflects much of the energy, while the same water circulation system now acts as a coolant, absorbing body heat and rejecting it through a sublime piece of engineering: a sublimator. This device vents small amounts of water into the vacuum, where it instantly freezes, and in that phase change from liquid to solid, it pulls a massive amount of waste heat away from the astronaut. The spacecraft itself is a larger, more complex version of this life support bubble. It scrubs carbon dioxide from the air, generates oxygen, and manages a sophisticated thermal control system with vast radiators that glow faintly with infrared heat as they endlessly dump the crew's waste energy into the void. This is how we live in space, not by conquering it, but by insulating ourselves from it with exquisite care. We are not becoming spacefaring creatures. We are fragile terrestrial beings, carrying the ghost of a planetary atmosphere wherever we go. Every spaceship, every suit, is a tiny, temporary oasis, a signal of life in the stillness, proof that even in the face of cosmic laws designed for everything but us, we can, for a time, find a way to endure. It's a sobering truth. On Earth, we take each breath for granted. In orbit, on the Moon, on Mars someday, every single one is engineered. Out there, we are not explorers swimming in an endless ocean. We are divers in the abyss, carrying our oxygen tanks, relying on fragile gear between life and silence. The cosmos doesn't forgive mistakes. It doesn't bend its rules. And that is the final verdict. Space is not hostile because it wants to kill us. It's hostile because it simply is. So the next time you look up at the night sky, remember, those stars aren't just beautiful. They're a reminder of how thin the line is between survival and oblivion. We live, breathe, and stay warm only under a fragile shell of atmosphere. Step beyond it, and you enter a universe that will never meet you halfway. And if you enjoyed this journey into the cold, airless truth of space, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. The universe is full of mysteries, and together, we'll uncover them one by one. It's a sobering truth. On Earth, we take each breath for granted. In orbit, on the Moon, on Mars someday, every single one is engineered. Out there, we are not explorers swimming in an endless ocean. We are divers in the abyss, carrying our oxygen tanks, relying on fragile gear between life and silence. The cosmos doesn't forgive mistakes. It doesn't bend its rules. And that is the final verdict. Space is not hostile because it wants to kill us. It's hostile because it simply is. So the next time you look up at the night sky, remember, those stars aren't just beautiful. They're a reminder of how thin the line is between survival and oblivion. We live, breathe, and stay warm only under a fragile shell of atmosphere. Step beyond it, and you enter a universe that will never meet you halfway. And if you enjoyed this journey into the cold, airless truth of space, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. The universe is full of mysteries, and together, we'll uncover them one by one.